Morning, fellow zombies. Are we alive yet? Are we awake yet? Because I sure am not. 12:53 in the morning, West Coast time, Friday the 28th of June, 2024. Are we done yet? We were Jan City, Roseman, California. Feeling a bit ornery. Had about an hour and a half sleep. Had to get this one out. Yes, we all saw the video. Yes, we all saw the hype, and they talked about it. They talked about it for a couple of months. Everybody was making an Everybody was making a big deal about this thing, and then we saw it. And nobody was happy about it. Nobody. The pundits are still going crazy over it. They're trying to get some sleep at this point. While the rest of us mere mortals are asking ourselves, why the hell did we watch something that we could have been seeing somewhere in a nursing home? We had a lying sack of crap blaming, but no positive stuff to say. Constant negativity. It's like Trump actually had something of a condition happening that forced him to be such a negative twerp. If I'm going to say anything about it. 1 second. First off, I was watching and listening. I had some technical difficulties, so I probably only caught maybe a little bit of it. But I listened and I watched. And Biden was off. Now, I didn't hear all the prep work to see what was going on with Biden if he was bringing his A game along. He tried. He struggled. Like any other senior citizen would, trying to bring an A game on into a major serious situation. And then failing miserably. To a point. But beyond that, as a senior citizen goes, I think he did the best he could this time. Trump was being his predatory self. He was going to find anything and everything to bring Biden down one way or another. Because the venue did not allow people in the background to yell and scream out Trump or anything else to give Trump the energy. He brought his energy in. That's the thing I'm going to give him credit on. He had the energy, but he didn't have the mind. Biden had the mind, but didn't have the energy. So we're seeing two old farts going after each other. It's worse than watching grumpy old men. At least that you know is a comedy. This one, you're scratching your heads. It's like these two old farts want to yell and scream at each other, and they can't do anything else but BS each other. They want to have the physical energy of a young man so they can beat the crap out of each other. But Trump was going to sell his crap no matter what. He rarely went after, actually, maybe for a few seconds, went after the judges, except for the one out in Florida. He went after the one in New York. But then that was it. Everything else was pure Biden attack. Attacking Biden's health, policies, everything. Trump could do no wrong, he kept telling them. I had everything. Everything was perfect. And then Biden screwed it up. Quite frankly, President Obama had handed over to dear old Trump an economy that was working at the time, health issues that still, health, policies concerning about health care was working, and Trump wouldn't have anything to do with it. He didn't make up laws. He didn't help draft laws. He didn't help support laws. He just did executive orders to chop things up into pieces. And Biden was in there to remind people, look, I'm here for the long haul here. But throughout the years, if we actually watched President Joe Biden when he was a lot younger as a senator to a vice president, we're seeing the energy and we're seeing the things that was taking a toll on him, especially when he lost one of his sons. I know that devastated him and his family, but he wasn't going to let that happen. He was still going to bring the energy to the White House. And while Trump knocked on his ass for not getting things done, Biden fought like hell with Congress to get things done, despite the fact you had maggots in there who were trying to hold things back, including almost putting the country into a tailspin when they decided if they're going to be passing the budget or not. And if it wasn't for deals made with the Democratic Party, who was a minority still, we wouldn't get a budget passed. We wouldn't go into default. I mean, if we didn't have all this backroom activity happening, we would have been in default of our loans. But the one thing Biden was trying not to do is make any extreme cuts like Trump did when he was in office. The corporate tax, corporate taxes cut off like crazy. And at least Biden didn't do any tariffs. The tariffs that was popped in was also increasing the prices that we actually had during Trump's office. All the foreign stuff that we deal with on a constant basis, prices were going up and up, including specialty foods or even regular foods that we depend upon. Prices were going up. So it wasn't all roses as Trump was talking about. There was no golden age. Trump also was mentioning about some of the autocratic rulers out there. Some of them try to pretend about having a Democratic party going on, but really not. It's an autocratic party. And he kept blaming Biden for him not being popular with the autocrats, not having enough support from these guys, or a good rapport. Trump would, because he liked him, and they liked him according to what Trump was passing off his delusions of grandeur. They were laughing at him. Trump wasn't popular with the rest of the allies that the United States actually had, including the G7, the G20. They're laughing at Trump. They're staying the hell away from him. Because he knew Trump didn't know what the hell he was doing. They knew about Trump and his records. They didn't want to have anything to do with him. They kept wondering what was going on with America. We were in bad standing. But when Biden came in, Biden actually talked with the leaders. So yeah, the diplomacy was still strained, but we still had support from our allies. Trump was also talking about NATO. He was bellyaching to Biden about it. We didn't pay enough. Actually, we paid more than what any other country paid, according to him, regarding NATO membership. We don't need them, and we don't need the United Nations either. I mean, he was making that kind of illusion right there. Almost like NATO. Well, we got water from, surrounding us. We really don't need Europe. Problem is, he keeps forgetting history. He didn't give a shit about history. All he cared about was himself and attacking left and right. The problem is, when you're dealing with history, you have to understand certain things about it. A lot of things about it, actually. Yes, we are surrounded by water. We also have countries we are surrounded by. We have Canada. We have Mexico. We also have Latin America down below. And Canada, that's about it on the northern range. But we also have across the waters the Asian theater. We have the European theater. And they also affect our national security, also our economic security. We all depended upon each other in this planet. That's the thing. We can't do an isolation thing like we did back in the 20s and 30s. We're getting out of World War One in what was it, about 1921, 1922, somewhere in that area. So Europe was devastated, and some of the countries really had to rebuild all over again. Germany was devastated economically and physically, but they were told not to rebuild their military under the conditions of the armistice. But there was no ceasefire, there was no official war declared over for World War One. So it was almost an ongoing situation. We just never bothered to get that corrected until World War II came up, when Hitler decided, okay, Germany had enough of suffering with its own economy going crazy. We got our resources. Let's rebuild military, and then let's start kicking ass. That was the thing. They devoted their resources to rebuilding the military, but Hitler had to have a scapegoat. So the Jewish people were the scapegoat. Now you got to figure out who our scapegoat is for this one, for our time and century right now, because we're looking at each other and we don't even know who the scapegoat is. Except we're dealing with now the Middle East situation in Israel. Hamas had to be pain in the asses about it and unleashed a firecracker that the repercussions are still reverberating like crazy. Bodies, or actually physical bodies, are still being recovered, if they're still living or not, on a slow basis. And Gaza is almost completely leveled. Meanwhile, you had backroom deals happening across the waters on U.S. territory of dividing up Gaza Strip, moving people out of their region just to put resorts up. Well, once they have the area completely cleared out of all the devastation, they just put up resorts over there. It's good real estate. Holy shit. And there was talk about that, about those kind of sales going on in a Jewish temple in Los Angeles. It's no wonder we actually had some issues outside of it. So I am not going to blame the Palestinians on this one. I'm not going to blame the activism going on in that one. I'm just going to say, okay, Israel screwed up on this one. The government did, and maybe the people did too. They really are not supporting any idea or any of the conditions concerning about a two-state solution. No way in hell. Decades passed by. You had administrations for both the Palestinian Authority and Israeli governments. You think anybody would have been supporting the two-state solution? Not going to happen. Not in our lifetime, anyway. Not in mine, anyway. But it's all Biden's fault, according to Trump. So we got the economy and then the world crisis concerning about the environment going hell in a handbasket, temperatures rising left and right. Trump didn't want to do anything concerning about it. He pulled out of the environmental conferences left and right. It would have been helping us out trying to figure out ways and also implementing ways, hopefully, to stave off the temperature increases, because if we get to a certain level, That's it. According to what the environmentalists and climatologists are talking about, there's a certain level that the Earth is going to be adjusting to, and we're going to have to get used to the damn thing. Which means water resources are going to go hell in a handbasket. We got flooding in the plains worse off, which means vital farmland gone. So we got farm and food going crazy. Yeah, we'll have the solar panels if it's enough sunlight, and things are not happening like forest fires or anything else going on to black out the sky. There goes the solar panels right there. How about the wind generators? Well, how about having fires or floods that takes out those things too? And it's depending upon the the climate changing to where there's going to be more fires and floods. Now, out here in the Antelope Valley, we've been having more fires. We've been having more fires in the Southland and in California. And it's driving people crazy. Not to mention driving people crazy is we have the local people, gangs having gang wars this summer. So now, city of Lancaster, the community has been under siege for decades. Barely, they can't get off their dead ass, or they can't get enough help from the sheriff's department from Los Angeles County. So they try to get their own police services to help supplement, but even they're running into issues concerning about how long they're staying on shift. Damn near 20 hours shift with barely enough time to get sleep, eat, and that's it. But do you think that was talked about? Nope. Trump is still pointing the fingers left and right. He also kept saying multiple times about the issues on the border. We got all these people over here. We're supporting them with Social Security, Medicare. We're putting up in five-star hotels over here. Don't you understand what's going on? We blame everybody else. But not once did this guy actually accepted responsibility, accountability, or transparency. Oh, hell no. It's all Biden's fault. Everything had to be Biden's fault. There was a bill that was going through Congress, went through the Senate. Somehow it got killed in the Senate on this one. It was going to be bipartisan support of what they were going to be needing and needing to do at the border. More stringent things going on that would have limited the migrants or people coming across the borders. More security, more devices to screen out fentanyl and any other kind of drugs. Because we needed those kind of devices, and we needed Congress to fund those devices. But Congress, in its stupidity, decided no. They didn't want to give Biden the win. They wanted the issue to continue. So they'll continue to blame Biden because he's not doing anything. So he does his executive order, but he still gets yelled at. And Trump does that again. He just yells and screams at him, or just needles his ass. But he also brought up family. Now, Trump was doing everything he could to push buttons on Biden to make him react, and Biden did react. But Biden also went off their personal stuff. If they did not abide by the technical aspects that CNN in their debate wanted them to go through, this would have been a free-for-all. A major free-for-all like the last debate that they actually had a few years back. Anybody remember that one about the 2020 election? That was a nasty one right there. CNN had it to where in their town hall that there was not going to be any audience participation. All you had was technical support out there, and maybe there people supporting both of them, as in family members. That's about it. No audience at all. None. No protests, not a thing around it. But they did have political pundits. They did have political supporters from Congress and other elected officials over there. Anybody who is maggot supported. They were getting isolated left and right on that. So Trump couldn't feed on this energy. But he was going after Biden pretty damn hard. And the one thing that Biden wouldn't take was, you don't do the family card. You don't do the family card. Trump was playing the family card, and Biden bit back with his own card on him, with his own family situation, and Biden and Trump's convictions left and right. Yeah, it was a free for all of two angry men going after each other, two angry elderly gentlemen, if I can call them gentlemen. Biden, I would. Trump, I'd just call him a basket case. That's about it. But Trump kept going back to topics that really wasn't relevant. Every time there was a topic coming up, Trump wanted to continue the attack. Trump really wanted to go on the attack. Not about the issues, but attacking Biden personally. He wouldn't answer the questions until the moderators would ask him one more time. You still have a few seconds left. Can you answer this question, yes or no? No. It's still Biden's fault on this one. And this still relates to and we still have the border situation. And they still get this one. And. And I'm thinking, energy-wise, Trump may have had it okay on that one. But when it came down for sticking to the policies and issues and anything that the country is going to be needing to keep going forward, none. But what do you think about the climate issues? Oh, we need pure water. We need clean water. I like clean water. We like clean H2O. He was trying to sound intelligent. I missed all the prep work deliberately on this one. I didn't want to be saturated like it was the last 2-3 months of pure saturation on this one. This was going to be the big thing. This, all the damn hype we had concerning about this. And then we saw two old men yelling at each other one way or another. Not as intense as the 2020 election, but still. And I felt more sympathy and empathy for President Biden and his physical situation than I cared about the old mouth of Trump. Trump was still going to do the bully, and he did do the bully. And he kept doing the finger pointing. He just wouldn't answer the questions. He wouldn't come up with any policy decisions or anything that Biden was trying to say. Biden was still trying to gather the energy necessary. Hell, they didn't even have any bottled water or anything. This is going to be like a 90-minute debate. There should have been some water out there for him. But no, it wasn't even allowed. No pad, pencil, that's about it. But they couldn't give him water, maybe off screen when they had breaks. One break during the debate, and then when it came up for the ending, for the closing arguments, then they had another. CNN had another break in there, and that's about it. So I was listening to two old farts, if I'm going to say it that way. Biden knew that he was going to be in trouble, but he was going to go anyway. And I got to give him kudos for President Biden on this one. I have to. Because he did have enough stamina just to stay throughout. And Trump was looking like an arrogant ass. Nothing's going to touch him. He had this, I've won this kind of stagger, this shake, this facial expression like, I've won this. I'm so presidential. No, he looked like a damn bully. That's how his mannerisms, his demeanor, facial expressions, stance. So yeah, Trump may have thought he had his A game on, but he really was on the personal attack. And if Trump was going to go into office, I think Dana Bash was trying to pin him down. Would Trump go after people when Trump's in office? Actually, if he did get the presidency again. And the question is, I don't think so. No, I'll take that back. I think so. Because the other thing that they didn't mention, that they didn't ask about, is defunding federal programs or federal departments. And reaction from Joe Biden on this one would have been putting it through. But that question should have been sent over to Trump's on this one. It should have been, but it wasn't. It really wasn't. This would have been giving us a clue what Trump had in mind for the first day, and that was not questioned. But they did question about Israel. They did make a point about Russia. And Trump was making sure that everything wrapped around Biden not handling and not taking care of Europe and should have been doing this or should not have been doing this, and just harping on the policies, making sure that Ukraine's demise was all Biden's fault. Israel was Biden's fault. Everything was Biden's fault. A way of discrediting President Biden and humiliating him left and right. I know Biden wanted to say, "Will you shut up?" I know he wanted to go after him. I could see it in his face. And there was a lot of things that Trump was mouthing off left and right, going back and forth to the same topics, that Joe was cracking up on that one. I'm sorry, President Biden was cracking up on that one. I watched. I watched. But I kept seeing the same smug, arrogant look on Trump. I kept seeing this on a constant basis. He's going to win this debate. Fine. He's going to win a debate on maybe 1 or 2 points. But everything else, Trump was not making it. Trump did not have any policies or plans. My dog's here. Gotta see how she's doing this morning. It's alright, honey. It's alright, sweetheart. Trump didn't offer anything positive. He kept blaming. He kept criticizing. And that's the thing that I think that Biden took away. That Biden was talking about his record. Biden was talking about things that he had planned and still wants to do. At least he was trying to give America hope and a choice. Trump just wants the hatred and the rhetoric go on and blame Biden for everything. Said before, he's not accountable, he's not transparent, he's not responsible. He's not even. The thing is, he's not even accepting any problems or the problems that Trump did. He's not accepting responsibility. He's blaming everybody. He does something wrong, he blames the other person. He does the victim. And he was playing the victim card a great deal in this one. In that aspect, President Biden won on that point. But the health is going to be the one that people look at, because I was trying to leave this at the last. Perspective, context. Context we can throw out there. But how you are perceived out there on the public stage, it's important for politicians, because the politicians want to show how virile they are, one way or another, if they still have the energy. There was talk about Woodrow Wilson not having enough vitality. He wanted to show that he was still strong. Wilson tried, not to mention, let me see. Hang on one second. Yeah, I'm trying to get this one in order here because I want to make sure that I got it right here. I had to fact check myself half the time anyway on this one. So back in the 20th century that we have, let's see what we got. What was it? Hoover? Not Hoove. What do we see? Oh, Roosevelt. Not Harding. Wilson. Who was the one who was handicapped? I wanted to make sure which one was handicapped. Yeah, it's important for me to understand this one because I want to make sure I get the information right. It wasn't Harding. It was definitely not Coolidge. Hoover. 28. That'd been Roosevelt. Or Truman. Who was handicapped? Bingo. That was it. Roosevelt. Roosevelt didn't want to show people that he was in a wheelchair, but because of certain medical conditions he actually had going. He was paralyzed from the waist down and was diagnosed with polio. And sometimes he had to wear braces to show that he still was in command. He still had, he was still vital enough to and healthy enough to deal with the issues that he had to deal with being a president of the United States. You didn't understand this. Sometimes you had to show physical energy, a presence, a persona, a perspective that showed that one actually had strength projected. Now, when you're on the stage with all those politicians out there from their own governments, their own elected leaders, they had to show to everybody and to the world that they were healthy enough to deal with the issues. Healthy enough meaning that they didn't have anything that was going to be debilitating, including if they were old enough. Or define the age difference on this one here. Biden was working on that one. And yes, he'll probably either take a day off or force himself to go back on the campaign road and hit a stop or two. He had to do that. He had to show that to the American public he was still healthy enough, he was still in command, and he wasn't going to take no for an answer. Not even to his own body or health. When it was health was being talked about in the debates, Trump was crowing about the mental health tests he did. Oh, I passed these things, look at me, I did this, I did that. And Biden's cracking up on this one. I want to see Trump. I want to see Biden doing that kind of test over there. At least the 5-page thing. I want to see him doing that. I'm so smart. I'm so decent. And I could beat him in a golf game, too. Yeah, I saw that. The arrogant, smug look. Well, Trump may have fun on his golf course and say that, that is his own physical thing. Biden, on the other hand, we all wanted to see a president that was supposed to have been healthy enough to do challenges left and right. But what happens if you happen to deal with a senior citizen in the office who is going to be a hindrance in some aspects? What I'm saying about that one there is the reason why we actually had Kamala Harris as the vice president. Besides her track record, she was also going to be showing vitality, and she was the backup. She was the backup concerning about President Biden's health situation, just in case. I mean, that's how this particular voter looks at the situation here. If the vice president is healthy enough, more healthy than the president, then we've got a backup going here just in case. If the president happens to not being able to do the job. But here's the thing. President Trump, convicted President Trump, hadn't even selected his vice president during up to the time of the debate. After that, I don't know. There was very few candidates on the short list, and all of them are pretty idiotic anyway. But that's their own record showing it. That's their own record showing it. So now we're in the wind down, and now we're going to be dealing with campaigns after campaigns to seeing whether or not if both these candidates are actually going to do something or not. Trump still needs to get a vice president pick that's going to be healthier than him and a lot younger. Vice President Harris is still up for the task. I know she's got the vitality. She's definitely got the youth. And she'll be able to have President Biden lean on her if necessary. But Biden's not going to be into that situation just yet. We're dealing with a situation we've never dealt with before in our country. I'm going to have to talk about that in another video. I'm chewing up too much energy right now as it is and too much gigs. So I guess round two for the conclusion on this one.